Hello and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we have a very interesting episode for you. It's the first time we've had two people. We're going to be talking with Andres and Ronin, who are two guys who are married and help guys who want to meet and date and potentially marry quality women. And they help these guys by teaching them to become the kind of guys that those women are attracted to. And they've been doing lots of boot camps and helping people learn their approach to this. And we talked a lot about how to really focus on getting the result and potentially create something that could be 10 times more valuable than what they charge right now. So I think you're going to learn you're going to learn a lot from this episode about really focusing on your ability to get results and letting the marketing be driven from that. So enjoy this episode.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Dean. How are you?
I'm good. So we have Audrey and Ronan. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Andres and Ronan. And we're based in Houston. Now, if I'm correct, you're out in Florida?
I am. I'm in Winter Haven, Florida, right now as we speak.
I hear it's
so.
A
I'm
beautiful
very
place.
excited to. You guys were making history here. This is the first two-person More Cheese, Less Whiskers episode. So you guys are pioneering here and hopefully paving the way for more partnerships to come on and share. Yeah. So here's how it works. We got the whole hour to hatch some evil schemes for you guys. We're recording already. So I was like, if you guys can set the stage, tell a little bit about what you do and what kind of evil schemes we're going to hatch today.
Okay, nice, fantastic. Andres, did you want to go ahead and then I can add as needed in terms of if there's anything else that we missed or anything?
Oh, did we lose Andres?
No, possibly. Andres? Okay.
Huh.
Well, I can go ahead and.
How about you set the stage? Yeah.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start, and then he can hop on.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. So Dean, Andres and I, we are a company that helps single successful men meet, attract, and date their ideal women. We do this by helping them implement simple, effective, and actionable strategies to help them achieve their dating and relationship goals. So that in a nutshell is kind of what we do, and that's really kind of the core of our business right now.
Okay.
We started actually probably about a year ago, really deciding to get into this and go about it, through the internet. We both met probably a couple of years ago, and we both were kind of doing it separately, and we were doing it kind of the old-fashioned way, just kind of doing meetups, and through word of mouth, we would have meetings, and we would advise and coach men that way. And we decided that we both shared a common vision, and that there was definitely a need for it. And so that's how we kind of put our heads together and decided to start up our company, which is Attraction Academy.
Okay. And so did you know each other before, or you met because of doing rival meetup groups or whatever?
We actually met through the meetings and meetups, and so
okay.
we didn't know each other before. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been doing it for a year now. What kind of results are you getting for people? What's your track record here?
So Andres was actually the one doing kind of taking the reins and doing a lot of the meetings. I was prior to that, I was actually helping out some other people who were kind of trying to get their feet wet, and I was kind of playing more of an advisory role because I actually work my day job. I'm actually a physician, so quite a busy schedule, and didn't really have the time to kind of devote to take the reins and do all that. But when I met Andres, he was he had a pretty good group of people. I think he had upwards of 30, 40 people coming out, and then he was kind of doing individualized coaching with those guys and getting really fantastic results. And that's why we kind of see that there's definitely a need for this, and is because with the guys that we do help, we do see fantastic results because we know that a lot of these guys are really unhappy as to where they are in life, and so what we provide is kind of a way for them to learn the correct way to do things so that they can achieve their goals.
But you guys don't think you can sell dating advice over the internet, do you?
Well, I think we can.
That'll never fly.
Well, there actually are people doing it already. I'm
kind of teasing you. I don't know if you guys.
I think he's being facetious. Hey guys, I'm back. I don't know if you guys can hear me now.
I was going to say, I listened to one of your talks and you mentioned, I think, Evan Pagan. I was like, gosh,
yeah.
That's the way how we got to start.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, Evan, it's a funny story because it's something that, had very, very interesting beginnings. In 1998, I wrote a book called Stop Your Divorce. And I did it with a marriage counselor in Texas. And at the time, it was just this whole online selling of things online was just sort of taking shape. And I really, had one of the very first sort of ebooks online. And I figured out, because at that point, it was a big deal to try and figure out how to be able to accept money online. And, you couldn't get a merchant account, so you had to use a merchant service. And, there were companies like iBill and CCBill that came out in the early days. And then when the pay-per-click search engine started, there was a search engine called GoTo.com where you could buy keywords. And so whenever somebody typed in divorce or anything related to divorce, I could be the number one result. And that would drive people to our Stop Your Divorce site. And I, set this all up. And then I was telling Eben about it. Eben Pagan's one of my best friends. We've known each other over 20 years now. And I was sharing what was going on with him. So like the first month we did $4,000 in sales, and then they would send you checks from CCBill every 2 weeks. And so, my first check was like $2,500, and the next check was $4,000, and then it was $8,000. And I started, sharing all this with Eben, and convinced him to write a book on all the dating stuff that he had figured out. And so he wrote Double Your Dating, which was the very first dating book that he did, and launched it online. And, I remember when we flipped the switch on it, it was, he was living up in the Hollywood Hills at the time, and turned on the website, the landing page, and we're making adjustments in the copy. But literally, he started making sales that first day, and he built an entire empire around that. Just continued to grow and grow. And so there's a lot of, I had a front row seat, of course, to all of that. So I've had a lot of observation in this whole world here to see how it all unfolds. And so I'm interested to see how you see the evolution going, or what where you see the opportunity,
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened with technology.
No problem.
The question I heard, so you're asking, where do we see the evolution?
How do you see, like, where?
we're different in one way. So we both started. I started with reading Evan Pagan stuff, and then I went on and learned other things. And then after a while, you get all messed up, and then you figure it out. I even took NLP. The difference between us and most of what's going on out there is that we're not focused on guys that are just trying to, if you pardon the expression, get laid. We're actually focused on guys that want to. We're looking for guys that know that they want their ideal woman, a relationship with the perfect woman for them. So both of us are married, so that makes it a little bit different. When I started this journey, I was 38. I'm 45 now, and I've been married for 3 years. I worked very, very hard at it for a long time, and Ronin has been doing it also for a while, and he just got married a little over a year ago. So our goal, our different market is that we're looking for guys that want to be in a relationship, that know that that's what they want. We're not looking for young guys that are just out there to have fun. We're looking for more serious guys that, they want their ideal woman. That's really what we're trying to do.
Perfect. And then, so what would be kind of a dream come true for those guys? If you were to say, what's the dream for your ideal audience there? What are they hoping to the outcome to be?
A lot of these guys, what they want to do is, number one, they don't necessarily have a great social life and structure. So they want to have that social structure, which will yield the ideal woman. And they want to end up in that relationship, either a long-term girlfriend or marriage. That's that is their dream. But, it's a couple of steps. It's one, getting them out of their shell. It's getting them to have a social life. And then also to be able to talk to beautiful women that they meet on their, everyday situation, and that they have the confidence that they can actually keep the relationship going. So our model is basically how to meet a woman, how to attract a woman, how to date her, and then how to keep her.
Okay. And your guidance and the way that you do this, is it this is personal coaching kind of thing that you're doing? It's not a product or
yes. Well, it has been that way, and so really, what we've been doing for the last year has been kind of figuring out. We're both pretty busy. So Ronin is a physician. I'm an engineer. We both have our daytime jobs, and so really, what we've been doing is trying to figure out, okay, how do we get a website up, and that is a very painful process for us. We try to figure out, but the biggest part we spend most of our time is in our intellectual property, trying to be not only different, but actually how to simplify it, because a lot of these things that get thought out there, just somebody talks about how to create a connection, and you got to go through 10 different steps, and it's just too complicated. So we're trying to make it very simple, very straightforward, where it's just you being a natural person with a woman, so that she gets to see you. And that's what we're trying to do different. So we've done it.
It's funny it's funny that's your focus initially, because I know that Eben's realization and the end result of this is that the real thing about getting into a relationship, like he went through that whole journey with his whole audience that started out with W dating and then turned into, at the very end, the man transformation of being. It's really about becoming the man that women are attracted to. That's really what it comes down to. We can't layer technique and stuff over top of a foundation that's unattractive or not attractive to women. So there's a great sort of personal development component to it for the long term, and I think that's what you guys have really kind of hit on.
That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing.
More importantly, though, echoing what Andres said, is that self-development component is actually very important from the beginning. And just like Andres, I had gotten my start with that Evan Pagan stuff too, and unfortunately, starting out with a certain kind of mentality kind of puts you down the wrong path. And then, when you kind of look back, you realize you're off target. as to what you really wanted in the first place. And so we wanted to not only simplify things, but teach them the correct way to go about it, so that you end up getting to your goal not only a lot faster, but also it's more in line with what you really want, and so that you don't accumulate all these tactics and all these bad behaviors and habits that will actually hurt you a lot later. So, yeah.
So part of the process here of really making this scalable or making it kind of grow is that you've got to have a predictable, repeatable, result-getting algorithm, basically, right? You've got to have a way that if you take your ideal client and you apply the algorithm that you've figured out here, the methods, the way that you approach it to get the result. And it was interesting. I had both of you fill out the Profit Activator scorecard before we came on the call. And one of the things I look at is one of the mindsets is delivering the dream results, right? Profit Activator 5. That's really what we come down to. And it's interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about your ability to do that, because Ronin rates you as a 9 out of 12 on ability to deliver the dream results, and Andres rates you a 4 out of 12 on ability to get the results. So it's interesting. I want to see the how you would say put your confidence there, in your ability to actually deliver the result.
All right. So let me go first. So my thinking process behind a 4. The reason that I rated it our ability to deliver a dream result is because if we get them face to face and we get them into our meetings and to regularly come and actually sign up for the boot camps that we've done in the past, we get a very high result. I mean, every guy, I've never had a single guy leave the boot camp on the weekend and say that this was not the best thing that they've ever done, and their confidence level is extremely high.
Sure.
The reason I didn't rate it high is because after a while, these guys, they lose touch with you. And so for me, the biggest thing is, and then I talk to them, 3 months, 6 months later, and I keep in touch with them, and they're still good friends. And they go, well, I didn't have anybody pushing me. I didn't have anybody doing this. So I know that the one component that's missing is that continuing factor. So to me, that's why going to the internet, it makes it a lot easier, because we can have a membership program where you have a continual touch and a feedback mechanism, and by doing that, we'd be able to get to that 9 or 10 or even to a 12, which is, I hope that's everybody's goal. So that's why I rated it low. Ronan?
Oh yeah. So I was kind of looking at it from a perspective of, results that we get, I guess, individual clients, but I do agree with what Andres is saying, or where he's coming from in terms of where the 4 comes in, is because even though we can get that, 9 or above experience, which, I definitely want to get that 12 experience, I definitely see how we are lacking in that area where we're not able to consistently, stay in touch with them, and we don't have an automated system there that's in place. So in that sense, then yes, I would agree we're probably a 4.
Right. Okay. And that's what I mean. So, and part of that, part of the thing about marketing, and I say that, and I put the ing separate from the market, that the part of the thing is getting the equation right? There's part of that equation is that, from the beginning of time, commerce has driven on the exchange of goods or services for money and result. Essentially that's what it is, that you've got this bundle of services that you're offering that provide a result called meet and marry or get into a long-term relationship with a quality with a quality partner. That's what you're really about, right? And you've been able to do that for people on an individual basis and working one-on-one with them. And that may be, a really great thing. But if you were to take, part of this exercise for you is to get to a point where you start thinking, what would you do if you only got paid if they get the result? And I'm not saying that that's the way that I'm proposing that you work with people, but I want you to put yourself in that mind space, because immediately it clears away what the any fluff or anything that you're adding to the process just to make it appear more valuable, kind of thing. You're like saying, we've got these 17 modules on this, and we've got this, and we do these exercises and these events or whatever, when the reality is that there's a small portion of the things that actually get the result. That if you were just to strip it away and simplify everything to these are the core things that you have to do. And just like you said, knowing and doing are different things. And so if you were really looking at this situation, how long do you think it would take to, if you're working with somebody, to create this transformation for them, to create this result for them? Like if you were to, work with them one-on-one, would it be a 6 months process? Would it be a 1 year process? Would it be a 90-day process? What would you say would be the ideal, that if your life depended on it or your payment depended on it, that you would have this amount of time to actually get the result for people?
If they did what we tell them to do, we can do this in 90 days, where they have the complete confidence to have to meet a woman, to create attraction, and to date her within 90 days, and high quality woman. It can be done.
Okay. And so if you were to back test now, if we take the last 10 people that you worked with, how many of the last 10 people that you've worked with have gotten that result in 90 days?
That's a great question. Out of the last 10, I would say 2 or 3. The issue is that a lot of these guys, they disappear from our lives, and we don't know.
There it is, right?
Because they disappear. Yeah. It's sometimes they'll even send me an email going, "Hey, can you take me off your mailing list? I'm in a relationship now," and I'm going, "Oh, okay, that's one more."
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, and the reason that I asked that question is because this process here, I'm bringing it up so that you can ask these questions silently without having to proclaim that this is what you do. But this is the thinking process that helps you identify the reality from what your opportunity is. So the reality is right now, your confidence level that you expressed to me that you could get it done is 90 days. The reality is right now, if we take the last 10, that 2 or 3 of the 10 would have gotten that result in the 90 days. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, right? And that now you start to think, and the reason that I ask you and make that provocation for you of what would you do if you only got paid when they get the result, now your personal interest is completely aligned with their interest, right? Right now, you convince them to take the program or to go through the process with you. They pay you for that, and then you're taking comfort in the fact that you gave them all the tools, you equipped them, and you were very careful when I asked about what the results you could deliver. You said, if they do what we say, right? So you caveat it there. And it's always this sense of external blame shifting. And I say that with love. I say it lovingly. That's really what that is that you're saying, well, we did our part, but if they do their part, and that in a way is really, you start to look at it when you ask a question, well, if you're only going to get paid when they get the result, then how can you help and take an interest in making sure, or setting up an environment that makes sure that they do what you say and support them in doing that. And by the way, when we're going through this exercise, I haven't asked you anything about how much you charge for it yet, or how much the program costs or price point or anything like that, because I want you to go through this exercise first and determine what is the best way to ensure getting this result, and that way then we can see how much would you have to charge to make that happen. Right now, not rather than trying to fit it into through the goggles of, well, we charge this much, or we've got this much of this is our price point. I want you to first of all set no limits and say, if I was only going to get paid, and even a further level of that is if I said to you, if I gave you 10 people and said, here you go, you've got 90 days. If 7 of these 10 people are not in a relationship in 90 days, you're going to be beheaded. One of you, maybe not both of you, just one of you is going to be beheaded. That would create a little competition for you to get things going there, right? But that level of provocation is amplifying, well, what would it take to absolutely positively get that result for people, And if your life depended on it, I would also grant you the opportunity to do sort of jury selection. I'll let you pick the 10 people that you want to work with, so you can narrow it down to these specific people. Because if you look at the 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 that didn't get the result of the last that you've worked with, what common traits or what blocked them from actually getting that result? And is it something that, if you knew that ahead of time, that you would have chosen not to work with them if your life depended on it,
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of this is an exploration of two things: the bookends of your ability to get the result and what it would take to get the result if it was your mission that your life depended on getting that result, or the softer level of you're only going to get paid. And then the other bookend of, well, who's the ideal candidate? If I said, you can pick the 10 people.
And I think that's actually a part that we're having an issue with on Profit Activator number 1. It's who's the ideal candidate.
Yeah.
Because most of the time,
right,
we've gone, the avatar that we designed was based on some of the clients that we were getting. So there were financial analysts. We live in Houston, so there's a lot of oil guys here. Right. Medium salary in the 70s. And so we were thinking about maybe pivoting to guys that were trying to, that have been divorced, they want to get back into relationships. So, we're still we're changing avatars a little bit, at least we're thinking about it.
Right, and that's fine. But, I think that's smart, because there's so many, that the whole pickup world, that whole dating advice world is all skewed young, and you're looking at, they're all going to clubs and peacocking and doing all the things that they're supposed to do, right? Or, all meeting people, cold meetings and all that kind of stuff. And you're looking at a guy who's probably, mid-30s or more, or, right? I'm saying that as that's who you're looking at, and they're done with that now. They don't want to be all up in the club. They want to go out and they're not in environments where they're surrounded in proximity to people that are good candidates for them, right? So there's that opportunity and that market, and those guys are, I think if you've got that position of being for serious people who really want to get a relationship, it's not not being a matchmaker, but being a guy teaching a guy how to go out and find their own. That's really what. And that could be a high-priced thing. That's why I don't want to put any limits on you on, how much you charge. I want first for you to design the very best algorithm, the very best experience, the very best protocol, the result-getting, journey, and price that the way that it needs to be priced. I love it in Toronto. Okay. There's a billboard for Stella Artois, the beer, and their whole thing is we use only the most expensive ingredients and pass the cost on to you. And that's so great, right? Like their whole thing. I mean, they've got other things where they've got the billboard, a picture of the Stella Artois, and the tagline is reassuringly expensive. And I think that's really that's what you've got this opportunity, I believe, to be, is that Stella Artois type of situation, that for guys who are, I mean, for gosh sake, you're a doctor and an engineer, you're professional guys, and you figured something out that is like the desire of so many of the guys who are like you circa 10 years ago, before you started on this journey, wanting to find somebody, and you figured it out. And now the ability to be able to take that and really turn it into a documented process that you can take somebody through step by step, like what has to be true, what are the points along the way here. If the destination is in a long-term relationship that they're thrilled about with a woman that they're completely happy with, then what are the steps from here to there in 90 days? What has to be done, and what would it require for you to to really assist in the compliance, in their executing it.
Okay. Yeah.
Where do you think that gets blocked?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Well, where do you think guys get blocked the most? I mean, you bring them in and you work with it, and then you say, well, if they do what we say, what do you think are the things that would be the top two or three blocks?
The number one thing the guys get lost in is that they think that there's a magic bullet, a secret, so one of the easiest way to describe it is
the magic pickup line.
Yeah, they want that magic pickup line, because if I go out and I show a guy, okay, here's how you go and talk to a woman, and they're looking from afar, and even if I have them mic'd up and they can hear the conversation, they're still going, well, what exactly did you say, and how did you say it, and all this. So they're looking for that one thing that's just going to be completely magical. And the reality is that, the best pickup line is, hi, my name is. That's it. Mm-hmm. And then you start having a conversation with them. And so it's the and the underlying cost behind that is the confidence of men to be able to repeatedly be able to do this. That to me is the biggest thing, is how do you raise their confidence that they can have a conversation with not just a beautiful woman, but with anybody. And so we usually start with, okay, go and, ask for where Starbucks is. And then from there, have a conversation with a guy or a group of people. And then with a girl, any girl, and then afterwards with a beautiful woman. So you're desensitizing them, but they just don't have the confidence that they can do it. And because they put too much emotional spark on it, if you will. So that's what we normally see.
Mm-hmm. And that's, it's similar, like Eben had figured out the bridges, the bench, like that's certainly the first thing, going up and initiating a conversation. And then from there, not getting that deer in a headlight, look when they actually engage in a conversation. You got to be able to engage in a conversation. Then turning that into actually getting their phone number or their, contact or some way to get in touch with them. And then what to say when you call them up, all that kind of stuff, all those bridges. And so you're looking at this, that sort of is the first thing, desensitizing them and giving them in the field experience of doing that, right? Because they're not going to do it. They're less likely to do it on their own than if you are sort of taking them out on a field trip to do it, right?
Correct.
And how long does it take? I mean, how many experiences of that does somebody have to kind of desensitize them to it, that they could go up and realize that they're not going to get a drink thrown in their face by saying, "Hi, my name is Dean," or whatever.
Well, and by the way, that's a fantastic question, because I haven't had a single guy come through a second time through the boot camp. It's usually a 3-day boot camp, and we go through it, and we spend 2 full days out in the field. And I haven't had anybody come back a second time and do it with me. So at the end of day one, they have confidence that they can do it. Some have great success at it. Some have average success, but they have all improved. And so I wouldn't be able to tell you, taking them on. I have had guys that have been, going to our free, classes that we do once a month. And with time, and they'll go through it, and with time they'll kind of get better and start realizing that all of these things can be easily put together, and they start having success. But I wouldn't be able to, if we have not gotten somebody to go through a whole program, if you will.
Right. And that's maybe where it is, right? Like, I think that's what I would encourage you to look at, is really like being the guys that take the client, take the guy and take him all the way to the finish line. That could be really, that's a really valuable process,
And
Dean,
we are.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, how many people do you do is this something that would be sort of conducive to do in a group, or are you doing this one-on-one, or what would be the best?
We do in a group. Each one of us can handle a maximum of about 5 guys at one time. So that's typically what we end up doing. So we can do about 10 in a weekend together.
Perfect. Okay. And is it just the one weekend that you do, or is it?
So far, that is the way we've done it. But that is the way we've done it, but that kind of, and what we were thinking really was to not have those super intensive weekends, but to do more online. And basically, we're trying to figure out how to do more online. But I think that what you're saying is prove your concept first live, then figure out how to tweak it to go online so we can do it webinar style, because our goal was to do a webinar on Thursday, talk about it, and then on Tuesday come back and report. Where the guys could actually would have our phone numbers and call or Voxer in.
Right.
So we've been looking at all these things, but I kind of get the point. It's like, okay, we designed the program, make it work, then tweak it to modify for the internet. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And so, when you've got that, you want to get to the point where you've got the process that gets, let's flip the tables on that and get 7 or 8 out of 10 guys having success. That is the winning formula right now, right? Like right now, because it's just the weekend and then there's no follow up, no sort of like accountability. Your during unit is confined to that weekend, right? The boot camp. And that they've paid for it and they had a great experience and you delivered everything that and then you send them on their way with the comfort of saying, well, if they do what we said here, they'll get the result. But it doesn't really matter to you whether they get the result because you already got the money. Right. And I'm not saying that you don't, because I know you do care and you want for people to get the result, but you're not invested in them getting the result.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, it's just, that's the way it is. But I think that you guys are really in this for the right reason. I mean, you're not looking to not be a doctor and open up this dating empire. I mean, you've got I think this is a really noble thing that you're doing, and it's got a real need for it. And I think if you get that kind of a success rate, that you're able to take, what would it take, to do a 90-day program, or maybe it's 6 months, whatever, what would be the thing, rather than it being so, all front end loaded, it's stepped out over a 90-day period, right? So let's start with this. And if you really think about it, if this was like a reality show in a way, and you had to really take this group, and by the way, that would be a really great thing for you to do as you're doing this, is to document everything that you're doing here, to show it along. It's so interesting. I'll give you a perfect example is that I started a podcast I do a lot of stuff with real estate agents, and I have for, 27 years been in this real estate world, and I've figured out a lot of stuff. I know how to get the results that real estate agents want. And the thing that I just did now is I started a podcast for our go-go agent members called 6 Months to Six Figures. And I've taken one guy, a brand new real estate agent in St. George, Utah, and I'm working with him on every week we get together, we record a podcast, and we execute all of the programs that I have to get him that off to a quick start in his real estate business. And it's fascinating for people to voyeur in on, to watch and to see how this all happens. I think there could be really something to that. I think if you take a group through this, I think that would be you'd learn a lot from it, and it becomes easier. And I think if you really take that mindset of raising the stakes just in the provocation, not that you're really going to make it, that you're only going to get paid at the end, but that you take that approach to it, right? As if you are only going to get paid. And then when you get to where you can really do it and you can make that offer on the front end, then that's the rocket fuel,
That makes perfect sense.
We started, actually touched upon that a while back, and I think that's one of the reasons why we spent quite a bit of time on our IP, and we had even talked about trying to set up systems to, help the guys, get further along. But I think somewhere along the way, since we're relatively new at, all this internet marketing and stuff and all the IT stuff, is we kind of got lost, with in direction, because we were hearing people say, you got to put out content, you have to, market, you have to do all this. And so we kind of switched gears and started saying, okay, well, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves by building out this, grand product that we want to do. So let's just start, putting out content. And so I think somewhere along the way, we kind of maybe got confused and started focusing on things that people were telling us rather than trying to flesh out an entire process that would help our clients get to their dream result.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So it's all going to drive from that, right? Marketing is only going to amplify either your frustration or your elation. You've got you got to have that structure in place first. That's going to make it so easy for you. The better you get at getting the result, the better that you'll be at marketing it.
Okay.
We had Richard Branson on Out of Marketing, and one of the things that he said first off is you got to have something that you want to shout about from the mountaintops, right? That you got to have something that you believe in so strongly that you want to shout about it from the mountaintops, and that's where if you were to shout up at the mountaintops right now and say, "Hey, come to our boot camp," 2 out of 10 people get success in 90 days, and that's really. I mean, that's the reality, right? And that's, and that's not discounting the experience or the value that they felt that they got out of going to it, but the actual result is what people really want, right? And that's, I think, I think you guys have the stuff to do that,
No,
How many?
I'm almost at a loss of words because I'm going, wow, this is so. It hits you in the gut, and it's something that you realize. And as Ronin said, we've actually thought about how to figure out how to make sure the guys are able to do this. But we got lost along the way because we started doing. We're like, okay, we got to go and do content and. Give free content so the guys will eventually hear about us and get to know us. So,
right. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, that's like so. This is. I mean, your referral opportunity and stuff like that. Once somebody, really gets going, is I think you got a lot of great potential there. How many people do you have that would be in your world right now, like on your list? Or, if I say your Profit Activator 3, like your unconverted leads, how many people do you have there, and how many people who are in your after unit clients that have already gone through the boot camp?
After unit clients, I would say about 80 or so.
Okay.
For I'll call it a mailing list. I've actually just cleaned it up recently, and I think we got about 183 left in there that are actually they get emails.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so of the 80, let's talk about those first, right? Now I want to know, how much do you charge for your boot camp? Because before it was really that's not the point.
Average price. It's been about $800 average price.
Okay, perfect. And so when you think about this, so $800 for this boot camp weekend, and let's just benchmark that against what the in this arena, what is out there, right? So if you look at that outcome, if somebody could just push a button and on a vending machine and push long-term relationship or girlfriend or wife potential in 90 days, if they could push that button, how much do you think that they would pay for that certain outcome?
I frankly don't know.
Well, what would you? I mean, if we look at benchmarking, how much does it cost
most guys, so most people, what they do is they go to boot camps. So boot camps are about $1,200, $1,200 to $1,500 for guys that have been doing this for a while and have a lot of brand recognition. But they're also going after very young kids that are just looking for a
right. Yeah, that's not who you're talking about. You're benchmarking the model.
So for us,
guys who are
Oh,
Andres,
benchmarking the model.
remember, Andres, you worked also for, Andres did a little stint with a matchmaking service. And
I was just going to say, how much does it cost for a matchmaker?
People pay between $10,000 to $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say. That's where I was going. Right. So if you look at that these guys would pay $10,000 or $20,000 for this, that, there's kind of the, upper range of this, right? That's really what is out there, that people pay for that. And there's lots of people who pay that kind of money for it, right? And your audience, so somewhere in between that, because they're actually going out, it's almost like that Shortcut the Matchmaker is going out and sending them, they're going out and finding the people for them. But even that, a lot of times the matchmaking's still going to fail because they haven't done the work they haven't become the person who's going to be attractive to the kind of partner that they want to attract. And that's not a guaranteed thing either. So I don't know how much success the matchmakers have in actually making a match that sticks, right? But if you look at this and you're saying that it's 90 days or 6 months, that if you really set your sights on taking somebody through a 6-month process with that guaranteed outcome, then that's really a valuable thing, I would just I would think if you could aspire to that, and I don't know, I may be misreading, but I don't get the sense that you're looking to trade in your medical career for being an online dating.
Well, the goal is eventually. But I think for both of us, I think we eventually want to be able to do that. We enjoy what we do, but it's a huge grind. And so eventually our goal is to be able to do that. But and the reason that you're getting this is because right now we started this as a hobby when we first started doing it, and we were doing it more to give back because we got a lot from these kind of meetings. And so we started doing these meetings, and then after a while, people were asking a lot of questions, and you're kind of going, okay, well, you know what, if I'm going to spend my time, then make it worth my while. We both have families, so that makes it a little bit tougher. So that's how we've got started, and then we're kind of going, okay, well, we can actually make a business out of this. Yeah, so that's the eventual goal. But we don't mind playing it slow.
Are you still in contact with the 80, the people who've gone through? What's your kind of like after unit communication? So they after they become after they get a girlfriend, they drop off the face of the earth, or they and they usually unsubscribe because they associate what we do with the pickup community. We are, right. I mean, Meetup, for example, has we've had 4 or 5 different groups that we create through Meetup, and because they think that we're teaching all these nasty things, we get banned, and you're kind of going, okay, we got to go start this again. So that's, and we're trying to do things the right way and for the right purpose with people, but they kind of go, I don't want my girlfriend seeing these emails. Some element of them might feel this sense of wanting to help others as well, like just even with their story or with their offering encouragement, or
very, very few of them. I mean, we even have a private Facebook group that the guys go, I can't join your Facebook group because I don't want somebody to see that we're part of that group. And if you read the profile of our group, it is called Attraction Academy. But if you read the profile of our group, there is nothing that talks about anything sleazy. It's about your ideal woman, all these things. And you kind of go, it's just their mentality. They've already been programmed that pickup is bad.
Yeah. And so, and that's a sensitive thing. It's like, it's like the same. We ran into that with Stop Your Divorce. Nobody wants to, they're very sensitive to those kind of things. I get it. But some may, like you guys, who you're married or you're both married, so your wives, you're not doing this clandestinely, I'm sure, and not like sneaking out to do these pickup boot camps, right? I mean, it's not this underworld that you're part of. Your wives are very
weird.
like.
Yeah, we have the blessings from our wives, definitely.
Of course. Yeah. And by the way,
and my wife is very jealous, so she wouldn't let me do this if I didn't behave.
Yeah, but by the way, I mean, your wives are probably thankful that you invested the effort and the time to become the kind of guys that are attractive to them. I mean, that makes a difference, right? That's really all part of it. So net, you're doing a great thing for society, right? Like, you're doing a great thing for helping quality people meet quality people, and that's really I think that's really a noble cause. What I was going to suggest to you is to reach out to the 80 and say, listen, we've been doing this now for how many years, however long since the first boot camp there, but you're saying that, we want to do a pilot program where we work with a handful of people for the next 6 months. And here's what we want to do. And just, with the outcome of really meeting and dating somebody in that 90 days or 6 months or whatever, and just see if some of those guys might be interested in doing that, going down that kind of a path with you, right? A more extended kind of thing rather than a boot camp.
Okay.
And that might be. I mean, does that sound like?
Would you recommend doing an extremely low price, or not charging at all, just to make sure we have a?
No, listen, I think that sampling? You should do as high a price as you can imagine. That what would, if with your certainty on doing it, right? Like, I think if you did it, the first time is maybe you set it at a price that you think would be, maybe it's 50% more than what they paid to come to the boot camp, but it's the longer investment or whatever. And so the pricing thing is not what is more important in this. I look at this as like your intellectual venture capital, that you've got to think like, because that's the asset that you have right now that you need to test in the field, right? You need to say that this is our express outcome. We're going to take 10 guys and we're going to go all in on making sure that you are equipped to, and actually get to the result.
Okay.
And it's kind of,
that sounds like that sounds like a fantastic plan.
Yeah, I mean, it feels right too, right? Like, I think that's really the thing. And once you do that, if you go through this now, and so you take the economics out of it. I mean, you charge for it, but you charge on a, maybe it could be a month. You make it easy for them, on a monthly basis, or part now and part at the end, or however it is. But what's more important is that you take the 10 people and that you over invest in those 10 people, really getting your systems down, because the next 10 will be easier, And I just think if you guys got in a room together and sat down and thought through, and maybe doing it individually first, but saying, if we start on day one and we've got these 10 guys, what would have to happen in that 90 days for them to get this result? And would it be easier, or would we be able to have a richer experience if it was 6 months? For some reason, 6 months feels more, it feels like you could really make a total transformation for somebody in 6 months, you know?
Mm-hmm.
90 days feels a little bit rushed. Right?
It is definitely rushed, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for somebody to have, it's reassuringly a time investment on their part, right? And that you're there right with them, that you're like taking them all the way to the finish line. And that's, I think, going to be a really valuable thing for people. Then you can figure out what to charge for it.
I totally agree. No, this makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dean, you definitely have our commitment that this is exactly what we're going to do. If you don't mind, we're going to steal your evil scheme.
I love it. No, that's the whole point. That's exactly it. And then, I want to hear all about it. And it's interesting. I've been doing this More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast now for just over 6 months. And so I've been getting and checking in with the people who we did, who I've done over the last 6 months. And so I'm going to start highlighting and revisiting what actually happened with the evil schemes that we created for people, because it's been amazing to see what's happened. People are emailing me about their results. So I want to hear all about it. That's the whole thing. Let's get that.
You definitely
get
your
definitely get
deliver
dream results up to a 12, and then the rest is easy.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
We appreciate this.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate you being so open and being part of it. So I can't wait to hear what happens.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Dean.
And there we have it. Now, wasn't it interesting to hear the evolution of, you come on a podcast like More Cheese, Less Whiskers, thinking that we're going to talk about marketing, that we're going to talk about the ad or the email or whatever the before unit things. And sometimes the focus to really get things right is to focus on the during unit, on your ability to get the results and create that product or service that, just like Richard Branson talks about, that you want to shout about from the mountaintops. And that means that you're able to predictably get a result for people. And that's really, I really am appreciative that those guys were so open to that they really saw the light, that's what the focus could be for them. And I think that they're going to be a tremendous success story. So we'll check in with them and we'll see how that goes. And I think they're going to be making a difference in a lot of people's lives. Now, when I do these More Cheese, Less Whiskers episodes, what I have people do before we come on the call is to do what our Profit Activator scorecard. And so that was, gives you an idea of where the opportunity is in your business, where you kind of self-assess yourself right now. And so if you want to take the Profit Activator scorecard, there's a book that goes along with it, your Profit Activator score. 8 profit activators that are slowing or growing your business right now. You can go to profitactivatorscore.com and you'll get insight just from going through the questions, and you'll see exactly where the potential opportunity is for you. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show, happy to hatch some evil schemes with you. Just go to MoreCheeseLessWhiskers.com and click on the Be a Guest link. And I hope to talk and hatch some evil schemes with you. So enjoy your week. Talk to you next time.